You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
Can you dig it?
Okay, back in the streets.
What up?
Yes, y'all. Here we go again.
Pow.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is the Fan's Perspective. I am your host, charlietrix, and I'm here with my brother.
What's good, everybody? Remise.
And we got my man.
It's your boy jhanboom. What's poppin'?
So it is a beautiful Saturday and another episode 97. We got some really funny stories we want to cover today.
Pow pow.
Once again, I'll remind myself to just kick back and relax. And get in my own skin. And get into the game. Actually, I'm gonna set this story off, but you know what? Before we set it off, how you gentlemen doing?
Go for it, boom.
What's going on?
Feeling great. Saturday, another day in the life of the TFP. Retired rapper jhanboom back in the streets. Shout out to all my people in the streets. Shout out to the subscribers, the likers. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys for tuning in one more time. And you know, we back in.
Yup.
Remy?
Yeah, man, just chilling. It's been snowing like crazy, so I've spent most of my time indoors for the past week.
Word.
So, you know, lots of boredom, which I guess this will be a nice little release because of
You
that.
dig?
Yes.
Damn it, it's cold out there.
And you know, I had a busy week, a hectic week, but we're not here for that. I'm here to jump right into this crazy ass story. So I was scrolling through. I don't remember. I wish I remembered so I could give the guy credit. I was scrolling through either TikTok or Instagram, and I saw a short. And it was this story, a really interesting, like captivating story about this guy, Darius McCullum, who impersonated being a transit worker in the city. And the story that his short was, you know, I was just blown away by it. So I wanted to talk about it, and I looked up to see if I could find any articles, and sure enough, I found this piece in The Guardian about it. So this is an old story too, by the way. But it's fascinating. So I'm just going to
transit impersonator.
I'm going to read directly from this story because this is great.
It's bizarre.
So Darius McCullum has a peculiar hobby: impersonating New York Transit staff, stealing buses and trains, and then driving them away. As one police spokesman said of him in 2010, he has a thing for mass transit. Once he stole a bus at Penn Station and drove it, full of passengers to New York's Kennedy Airport. Another time he responded to an emergency stop call on the subway at 57th Street in Manhattan, clearing passengers safely and correctly and diagnosing the problem in full uniform before being caught by the train driver who had seen his face on a wanted poster. This guy is amazing.
This guy's running in, doing everybody's work for them, getting everybody safely from one stop to the next.
It's hilarious.
And being arrested.
The story's great.
With wanted posters all over the place.
He's breaking the law to do the job.
Let's get it. What transit can't do, my man will do it.
MTA ain't even paying him.
So it goes on, right? He's made it. It has made him something of a folk hero, but he spent a third of his life in jail for his hobby, and he seems to be incorrigible. On Wednesday, he was arrested for the 30th time in 35 years. And just 79 days after his previous parole ended in Brooklyn at the corner of Union Street and 3rd Ave. He was driving a Trailways bus token from Hoboken.
Oh my God, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Bus taken from Hoboken. Sorry,
this dude stopped at Hoboken. Like these people need.
But listen,
to get to their next stop
on time.
The story goes on to say that this dude just grew up absolutely fascinated with trains, and trains were the main thing. And it wasn't just that he did this, like hopped on the trains dressed in uniform. He would take the train and then stop at every stop along the way, picking up and dropping off passengers.
Worse. So he wasn't even like when he was breaking the law, what he's doing, but he was still following transit rules.
And the guy
doing a good job. Apparently, they don't reference any crashes. They don't even reference anybody running late.
No, the guy was showing up to union meetings where they were having like city meetings and planning meetings for the MTA. He was showing up. Everybody knew the guy. He would just be full in there. But it was still illegal, and he was getting arrested for it. But man, what a story! I couldn't believe it when I heard it. And shout out to the guy, whoever you are,
Hall of
TikTok,
Famer.
Yeah, man,
who pulled this story out because it is so funny. I
can't get mad at you if you hijack the bus and you not stopping at the stops that there's no one's at just to stop. You keep going and get me to work on time. I fuck with you.
Yeah, listen, how is he stealing these buses? If there's wanted posters, he's been arrested hundreds of times. He's a folk hero. He's at the union meetings. So if you're going to the union meetings, you recognize him. How do people not know to keep an eye out? Or is it like, you know what? I had a long day. Let me take a break. I'll sit here and I'll wait for him to circle back.
No,
go
you know
for
what?
it. Darius, you handle this set of stops.
They say that he had like intricate knowledge of like how everything works, the whole working systems of the city, the lines.
Right.
He probably just knew exactly where and when to be to, hop in and
because what I know is, I know at least NJ Transit, their buses are sponsored or run through Coach. Mm-hmm. So those Coach agents, they don't really know who's on the bus unless like a complaint or something, not that anyone could get on as a driver, but it's not firmly checked who's really driving the buses because it goes through Coach, then it goes down to NJ Transit. So there's so much chain of command all the way down that to get to the bus driver, it could be manipulated.
Yeah, I just don't know. I know as a passenger, I recognize some of my bus drivers because I get on the bus a lot. But I'm never questioning, is this guy a real MTA worker? But the one thing for me is I've been on a few buses where because of say like a snowstorm last year, there were detours, and this dude had no idea how to get us back to our stops with the detours. So I've been on multiple buses where passengers randomly would have to tell them like, turn here, turn there, I'll get you back. Or in some instances where they've had, like maps up or one of the like any type of maps and are reading off of Google how to get to the next stop because of detours. And I bet you this dude with his intricate knowledge of everything probably would have been like, oh, detour, I got this, and gotten us way quicker because I've seen all near disasters there's been near riots on buses because the snow closures or rain closures and people just want to get off the bus. Oh man, I've got stories, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, exactly what you're saying because with the floods in Lodi, tough streets, there was hella detours when it was flooded, yo. So the NJ Transit bus driver, he just kind of gave up. He's like, yo, man, I'm gonna go to Saddlebrook, and from there y'all work it out because I'm confused as hell.
Yeah,
but
that happens.
That's happened to me.
Darius,
before.
and literally, if we had a button, could be like, call Darius. He could have came in his fake
put Darius in
MTA uniform and been like, I got this. I'll step aside, bus driver.
I'll give you like a really brief run through of like how his history went, right? So he became friends with a Metropolitan Transit Authority worker at the 179th Depot. They taught him how to drive trains, how to maintain tracks and signals, and how to detect traffic. He kept incredibly detailed notes. The train driver, they taught him all sorts of stuff there. At 15, someone gave him his first MTA uniform.
Whoa.
So he was obviously friends and hanging out with these guys, and they were taking him under their wing.
Yeah.
So, that was thing. In 1981, he was arrested for the first time at the controls of an E-train, having driven it without incident from 34th Street to World Trade Center at Manhattan's southern end after being handed the controls by one of his friends, a driver who was sick. He had already driven the subway trains dozens of times.
Oh, that's how it started.
Off. And they say that, how the arrest didn't deter him and he kept going at it. But they threw this line in there, and I almost don't even want to read this out there, but let's just say it for the story's sake. He's been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, an autism spectrum disorder, as well as depression and anxiety stemming from an attack at school.
Damn, this poor guy. Okay.
Yeah, so he went through some stuff.
The MTA should let him. Well, do they not trust him if he's done so well through all of this? Man,
it's a lot of shit.
Or it's a punishment because
in the 80s,
of all the
right? Probably with that, type of situation, they might not qualify as because I was going to ask.
He's got the priors, so he can't
apply
get the MTA.
Yeah, word up. That's what I was thinking.
Give him a.
Here's the thing: you can't
pass.
Yo, I mean, why not? He gets you there. No complaints from the bus drivers, train workers, and he's multi-talented. He can go from a bus to a train. You know what I'm saying? Fuck around. He could do a helicopter. Like, there's nothing wrong with this guy.
In a disaster movie, this guy is the one that gets you from place to place. You need this guy on your team.
But let's say the thing. Let's say the most important thing, right? He's autistic, and the one thing that's his good thing is running this transit shit.
Yeah.
So that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it feels like these people are taking advantage of him, man. Do my job for me. I'll collect the check. You get arrested? That's some bullshit. Well, this guy is the Frank Abagnale of, remember Catch Me If You Can? The guy that went and he was a substitute teacher and he ran the school for a while. This guy's doing that, but, they caught him a little faster.
Well, but this is what I was going to say. Overall, you cannot move up the ladder in the MTA world through falsely operating the vehicles from your friends and getting arrested. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, who's reporting him if it's friends that are like, I'm sick today?
Somebody.
There's a player hater there.
They gave him a actual uniform at 15. They knew what they were doing,
They
bro.
set him up.
I want to
They
know.
set him up. But let's leave it at that.
Pow.
Can you dig it?
All right, let's move it along. jhanboom, what do you got for us?
Yo, I'm here with the good news. We're gonna keep it same type of hero, but a little more in the animal kingdom hero, man. So actually, this story as well comes from The Guardian. You can also cross-reference. There's a video of it, and this is an amazing dog called Ruby. And I'm gonna give you some of the article, and then we're gonna talk about it. Ruby to the rescue as dog helps save owner who fell in a frozen Michigan lake. Check it out, people. A man who fell through the ice on a frozen Michigan lake was rescued after a quick-thinking state police officer used the stranded man's dog to get rescue equipment to him and pull him to safety. Bystanders called 911 on Thursday after the 65-year-old Traverse City man fell through the ice-covered Arbutus Lake. State Police said the body camera worn by Cameron Bennett, a Michigan State Police motor carrier officer, captured the rescue, initially showing the man trapped in frigid waters with just his head and shoulders above the thin ice and his dog standing on his side. It showed Bennett's first trying to throw a rescue disc tethering to a rope to the man, but when it fails, Bennett calls the guy that's stuck in the ice, asks him, "Hey, can your dog come to me?" The guy that's in the ice, a 65-year-old, talks to his dog. The dog runs to the officer, takes the rope, brings it back to the owner. The owner grabs onto it, and now the officer is able to pull him out the ice without him himself crossing that bridge over to the ice.
Nice.
So the dog grabbed the little harness thing. They tied it around my man that was in the motherfucking water. He pulled him out safely. Dog is a hero. How? Ruby.
Shout out to Ruby for doing the task. Because, there's no saying that he did. He would have taken the thing and brought it over.
Exactly.
But
follow those orders.
I guess he was smart dog. and he knew what to do there.
That's a very Lassie situation, except with Lassie it would probably be quicksand because it's warm in the prairie. But that's a very Lassie situation, and that's a very clever move for the dog to be able to handle all the commands necessary. Grab that, bring it over there. Like normally, if it was Charlie, he'd be thinking we're playing tug of war. He wouldn't even. You'd be reaching for it from out of the ice. And like, nah.
You can see the dog in the video. Like he was very confused, also very excited about the situation. He didn't know it was a game or not, but the dog was able to control its emotions and be able to listen to his owner, shoot him to the officer, listen to the officer what he was saying, go back to the owner, give him the harness, the rope, and my man was able to pull him out. So the way like you see the dog is like, damn, I feel like I gotta do something right. And the back and forth, man, is super amazing.
It sounds like man's best friend came through heavy on that one.
Treat your dogs right, man. If not, he would have probably left your ass.
Yup, give them treats. Give them treats.
What are we saying about Ruby?
Ruby is gonna go in some type of. He's not gonna be with Flacco the Owl.
Not an assassin.
He's not an assassin,
opposite.
but he is a lifesaver. So he got. You don't know what else he can do. You know, he can be getting attacked by a bear. Ruby to the rescue could do some shit. So Ruby is like a rescue animal hunter.
I bet Ruby knows CPR.
Yeah, get out of tragic events type of dog. You know,
medic. He's a medic. He's the medic for the assassin
medic.
animals.
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
How you feel about Ruby though? As far as
definitely a hero.
Well, listen, I think Ruby's great. I love Ruby. Good job, but the animal assassin is
too nice.
No. He's not going to be in that list. I think Ruby could possibly start
B list.
Start his own category as far as a branch of the assassins. Now, there's other brands. There's heroes. You know, there is people that just didn't make it the cut. I think Ruby.
Rejects.
Because first of all,
the people that didn't make it are still cool. Flacco the Owl.
Flacco's still cool. Ruby. That's what I'm saying. They
Who's
still in
the
there.
other one last week that
the Falcon that killed the bald eagle. That
Beast.
was an assassin.
That's an assassin.
No, he made it.
He made
it in there, sweet ass with it.
The giant goldfish. Did we put the giant goldfish in? Nah.
A couple of them didn't make it, but anyway. Yeah.
But Ruby has his own thing. The only thing I want to know is what was my man out there doing? 65-year-old. Y'all gotta just chill out there in the lake, glaciers and shit.
Ice fishing, maybe.
Yeah, he ain't have no fishing net with him or nothing. He was just out there chilling.
Get out.
So shout out to Ruby, man. You know,
good job, Ruby.
Or unless my man was trying to end it all, and we just saved him for no reason.
Rubio the dog.
I hate that dog.
It's actually Ruby. I said Rubio. It's Ruby the dog.
Hey,
Rubio.
In Spain, he probably is.
All right, Remy, you're up on this session, and I gotta hit the hay, so you take over.
Pow.
So shout out to all that warm and positivity, because I'm coming with something a little more on the dark side. This story pissed me off when I read it, and I felt the need to kind of go into why it bothers me. But I'm going to give you a little backdrop, then I'll tell you the headline. But basically, during the 2010s, a group of billionaires bought a handful of the biggest newspaper publications in the country.
Right.
Those newspapers have been laying off journalists, or they plan to, because they are operating in the red. They're losing money. But I find this article particularly perverse because it's writers kind of justifying the mass layoffs of their colleagues and really just being the voice of the billionaires in this situation and not voicing any of the colleagues' concerns or pains. So the article kind of acts like billionaires were saviors who came to rescue the news industry. But I'd contend a little bit, yeah. But little mic shift. But
little mic shift.
All right, I contend that the reason they bought these newspapers companies in a dying industry that everybody knew was because first they were chasing profits during the Donald Trump presidency and news cycle, like everything was up at that time. Ratings were up. And then the other thing is they understood that they could control the narrative using the same newspapers they bought around things like this when they start doing a lot of layoffs. So here's a New York Times article that's titled, "Billionaires Wanted to Save the News Industry. They're Losing a Fortune." Yes, this is the disaster for these billionaires.
That's how we going.
So
with
let
it.
me read, but I did want to leave in enough context of the, what's being said, because they are losing money. It's just they're making a lot more money in everything else they do.
Okay.
And I don't think they're helpful to this industry anyway. Here we go. As the prospects for news publishers waned in the past decade, billionaires swooped in to buy some of the country's most fabled brands. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, bought the Washington Post in 2013 for about $250 million. Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, a biotechnology and startup billionaire, purchased the Los Angeles Times in 2018 for $500 million. Mark Benioff, the founder of the software giant Salesforce, purchased Time Magazine with his wife Lynn for $190 million in 2018. All three newsrooms greeted their new owners with cautious optimism that their business acumen and tech know-how would help figure out the perplexing question of how to make money as a digital publication. But it increasingly appears that the billionaires are struggling just like nearly everyone else. Time, the Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times all lost millions of dollars last year, people with knowledge of the company's finances have said.
Damn.
After considerable investment from their owners and intensive efforts to drum up new revenue streams.
Okay.
So, essentially what they're saying is they're losing a bunch of money. They've put a bunch of investment in. It's not working. My issue with that is they don't really tell you where those investments have gone. What have they done to improve the business model?
Where
What
the
are
money
the
at?
changes? There's none of that. Where's that money going? Why is it still
I
failing?
want to know that shit.
And then I also wanted to point out that there's a big gap in how they voice the problems of the billionaires. That was very sympathetic to the billionaire side,
Okay.
but it didn't say much about the journalists whose livelihoods are on the line and who are going to lose their jobs. So I wanted to get to a couple of those sections where they talk about the losses that these companies are taking.
Word.
And then also mention that there's small references to concerns that the people working for these companies have, but they don't get covered. In the middle of last year, this is from the article. In the middle of last year, the Los Angeles Times was on track to lose $30 million to $40 million in 2023, according to three people with knowledge of the projections. Last year, the company cut about 74 jobs, and executives have met in recent days to discuss the possibility of deep job cuts, according to two other people familiar with the conversations. Members of the Los Angeles Times Guild met in an emergency meeting on Thursday to discuss the possibility of job cuts. By the end of the day, the workers had planned to walk off the job on Friday in protest. So the workers are protesting, but we only get a comment from a spokesperson for Dr. Soon-Shiong, the billionaire owner of the LA Times.
Hold on now.
Yep.
No. I'm just saying, like, let's get mysterious. What the fuck?
But yeah, so a spokeswoman for Dr. Soon-Shiong declined to comment on specific financial figures for the LA Times, but said in an email that the company had a significant gap between revenue and expenses, even with the layoffs and other cost-saving measures from last year. She said his family had invested tens of millions of dollars each year since acquiring the Times. They are committed to continuing to invest, the spokeswoman, Jen Hodson, said in the statement, but relying on a benevolent owner to cover expenses year after year is not a viable long-term plan. Like, oof, they throw down that little butt, and they kind of hit them hard. They make it sound like it's charity that they're doing and not paying people to do a job and deliver news to the country.
Come on, man.
So as you see, the authors quote spokespeople for the owners, but they barely reference the unhappy workers. They also do that again when they get into Jeff Bezos' struggle. Here we go. From the article, the Post has struggled, the Washington Post we're talking about, the Post has struggled to hold on to the momentum that it gained in the wake of 2020 election. Sagging subscriptions and advertising revenue led to the losses of about $100 million last year. At the end of the year, the company eliminated 240 of its 2,500 jobs through buyouts, including some of its well-regarded journalists. 240, that's just under 10% of the 2,500 jobs they cut. Patty Stonesifer, who filled in as chief executive last year, called the buyouts difficult, but said they were necessary to invest in our top growth priorities. Employees at the Post sent a letter in recent weeks to their editor, Sally Busby, and their new permanent chief executive, Will Lewis, expressing concern over the lack of research firepower for their articles in the wake of the buyouts. So they fired a bunch of people, and the workers sent a letter complaining that this is making it difficult to do the job. So it sounds like it's hurting the product, and they do mention we're going to do investments in growth places. But the workers don't sound happy. We just don't have any quotes from them, again, to understand exactly where the issues are or how their side of it, you know?
Word.
But
what
then,
the
yeah, so I just wanted to stress this again. Every quoted person in the article speaks in defense of the companies, and there's no quotes from any of the employees who are directly being impacted by these firings. It's all about these poor billionaires, and it culminates in my favorite quote, or least favorite quote of the article from Ken Doctor, who they describe as an analyst and media entrepreneur.
Okay.
Mr. Doctor said, billionaires in the industry were showing greater signs of fatigue, stemming from challenges including news anxiety and avoidance and fierce advertising competition. The very rich find it very difficult to lose money year over year, even if they can afford it. And the reason that bothered me so much is because, like, last week an article came out in Yahoo Finance. So they had all that stuff about poor Jeff Bezos. You know, the Washington Post lost $100 million last year. And then this article about Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post, came out. Jeff Bezos made over $7.9 million an hour every hour in 2023. In under 13 minutes, he brought in the equivalent of what a typical person earns in a lifetime. So it's like there's this clash for me where I get that the Washington Post isn't profitable, but it isn't profitable to the amount of half a day or so of what Jeff Bezos made every single day last year. There's not that massive concern if he really wanted to save or prop up the news industry. That's just a crock of shit to me. I think this article is proof of, you know, they bought the narrative.
Word.
They get to put it and frame it in their defense without putting any voice to the people who are fired. So then what I wanted to do real quick was give voice to somebody who writes, a journalist. This is somebody talking about what Sports Illustrated did yesterday. They are potentially firing everybody. Sports Illustrated may be dead as a publication. Chris Herring is a former journalist for Sports Illustrated, and he tweeted out so many thoughts, anger, frustration, you name it. But I mostly just feel sad. There are countless folks who just want to do work they can be proud of and make a living. None of this feels fair. Feeling for all my former coworkers and praying stuff works out for you all. And I think that is what you hear from actual journalists and people who actually are working in this industry.
It's like a writer's strike almost.
Just not a strike. They're getting fired. They want to be able to work. They want to do the job, and they just want to make a living. But Jeff Bezos can't afford to pay these people, even though he makes as much as they'll make in a lifetime every 13 minutes for an entire year. I think that's bullshit.
Damn it,
I had
Bezos.
to cover that because it bothered me so much.
Yeah, and you know what what sucks about it is that it's impacting media that goes out to so many people. And you know, what do we have? You have Bezos controlling a huge arm of media. You have Elon controlling Twitter or X now, which was another huge source of media and information that comes out. And, you know, it's not like any of the other news organizations are controlled by anything other than some kind of billionaire oligarch, or, you know. So every bit of information is just like they're grasping on harder and harder.
They don't want to let it out.
Or have some kind of flow, or, you know, control over the flow.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. And that is, you'll hear from lefty spheres references to manufacturing consent, Noam Chomsky's work. That's the whole point of it, is that the owner, everything comes top down, messaging from these companies. They can say we're not in the editorial room, we don't tell them what to print, but it's obvious that they're not going to continue to fund a company if it presents that article as Jeff Bezos and the other billionaires did a bad job and didn't invest in the right things, and that's why this industry is dying. There's a section of that article where they talk about companies that are doing well, that are showing profit. I think the Boston Globe was one of them. But there are profitable sectors of this industry where people are making money and doing well. These guys just didn't do it right, and I assume, I'm making an assumption here, that it has to do with the profiteering motives that are behind a lot of this. They cut expenses in the wrong places, which is why there's workers saying, hey, we need more help to source our articles, to put them together. That hurts the product. So the product sucks, and people stop having faith in your shitty publication. It becomes a trash publication. if you don't have that.
Yeah, Planeteers as well. Is that what you said? Planeteers got something.
No, Profiteers.
Oh, I said, damn.
Nah, man. Captain Planet.
I said, damn.
Captain Profiteer.
I don't even
See, a little different.
I've been out in man long.
You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
Okay, so right back at you. I wanted to talk a little bit about this story. Here's some kind of big news. Japan has landed on the moon.
Let's go.
And actually, that happened yesterday. It's the 20th of January, 2024, in case we didn't state that already.
Let's go.
They landed on the moon yesterday, Friday morning, the 19th. So let me read a little bit. This is an article from the Japanese Times, just to reference the story a little bit. Japan's lunar lander completed a successful touchdown on the moon's surface just after midnight on Saturday. They go into some technical issues, but I'm going to leave that out. With the landing, Japan becomes just the 5th country to land a craft on the moon after the U.S., Russia, China, and India. Japan's Aerospace Exploration Agency officials said they have good reason to believe that the Smart Lander for investigating the moon, also called SLIM, spacecraft made a soft landing and achieved its goal of a high-precision landing. Though they said they'll need more time to confirm whether the lander achieved the goal of landing within 100 meters of the targeted site. So the thing I thought that was cool about this story, it took a long time. The ship got there like over a month ago, and then they're like in orbit, and they're slowly inching closer and closer. Then they get to launch this little craft, and it goes out there. And so this is like a fascinating new, conquest for man, right? And it's only the 5th country to get a plan to get something on the moon and officially land there. And, all I can keep thinking about is like,
has the Flat Earth Society
that's all I keep thinking about is what does this mean to the Flat Earth Society? How do they react to news like this? And what is the point of this whole information and just global journalism covering the event? Every country's got an article out about it. How vast of a network
of a cover-up is this?
I'm just
Big
saying.
Globe.
I just wonder what happens in the mind of the flat earther when events like this are pushed out into the public.
But I'm gonna assume that this isn't changing a flat earther's mind because 4 other countries have however much information about when they went through this process. It's probably across many decades that this has occurred, right? That they've done this, and still that wasn't enough. So I'm assuming that when Japan comes out with it's going to be CGI. It's going to be, it's all faked. This doesn't count. That you're such a fool for believing it. You use sheeple and
listen, for the people, for the science believers out there, shout out to Japan for this amazing,
pretty cool.
Always doing amazing shit, man.
Thing that they accomplished. This accomplishment, it was fantastic. They landed something on the moon. 4 other countries are, it's only 4 others that have been able to do it, and this is great. This is great for exploration. This is a little more advancement in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, I think space exploration is just really cool. I always grew up fascinated by it. Telescopes are awesome. All these things, I think, looking out into the universe, the James Webb telescope, the new super telescope that's bringing back images, that's a very cool thing. And we have access to all of this really dope knowledge. Yeah. It does bug me that some people are just rejected outright, even though there's so much history to it. You could trace all this stuff, and you get to see all this cool,
I will say this. When you consider how much of the planet here and the ocean has not been explored, I would like to see a lot more exploration in that area. Yeah. Specifically, we might want to explore some of the underground areas in the Bronx because there's been some discovery.
Yeah, there's some things going on underneath.
Is that Brooklyn?
Crawling through the pits of the Bronx.
The Brooklyn Ninja Turtles coming out the woodworks over there. So we got to really explore underground.
And for
the oceans.
For exploration of Earth, at least, there's that new like sonar.
LiDAR,
that's what it is. LiDAR is a really cool new thing that I think there should be investment in. The same way they put a ton of money into that James Webb Telescope so that they could get better images and we could learn more about the universe. Put a ton of money into this LiDAR stuff. Use it everywhere, and let's see how much more information we could get. Architecture could be changing. The history of the Earth could discover new things. There's a lot. Though it's crazy when you find out certain things.
Let me tell you something, man. Japanese in space, right? Japan just went to space.
Yes, sir.
Now, first thing that comes to John Brito's mind, Asian massage. Right away. Are they going to develop some type of Asian massage parlor out there that when the people hit the moon, they get a little tired and a little, you know what I'm saying, get it going?
So space tourism is starting to have entrepreneurs talk about it. And I have a feeling that space sex work is only far behind
a little bit away.
That's what happens, to be
honest.
honest.
Not sex work, Asian massages.
Space.
Whatever happens in there is an extra 20.
Sex work is real work.
Martian massages coming in. You gotta be doing your thing. 63.
Yo, so speaking of space and the sky.
Yeah, hey, your boy John Boom back on his shit, man. So as y'all know, if you haven't been, up to game with your boy, I recently became a U.S. citizen. So one of the things I did was travel down to the tough streets where I was born and raised. Well, not raised. I was born out there in Dominican Republic. So I had to go back and do my thing, get with the culture of where I'm from. And it felt great to be out there. So the story that I'm bringing is an agreement that the U.S. and DR are coming across to get to the DR. But let me give you a little bit of article because I'm so excited, to talk about it that, might be in DR every 2 to 3 weeks with this shit going on. But anyways, so U.S. and DR set to seal new aviation agreement. The Dominican Republic and the United States have reached an agreement to sign an open skies pact aiming to bring about reduction to airfare and expanding the air connectivity. Now, my man David Collado, the Minister of Tourism, has stated that the formal signing of the protocol will be soon announced by the United States Embassy in the Dominican Republic. Anticipating positive outcomes, Collado envisions a decrease in air travel costs and also is going to heighten the competition in different markets. The agreement is expected to facilitate tourism between the two nations, as reported by El Dia. You know what I'm saying? That's probably a dope-ass newspaper called El Dia, man. I want to read that shit right now. Collado emphasized that the primary challenge in attracting more tourism to the Dominican Republic lies in air connectivity and associated with ticket prices. So, everybody can't just be on Spirit. Nobody want to be on that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to go United and get there at a timely manner. You feel me? He highlighted that in certain cases, travel expenses to the country can be more costly compared to other competing tourist destinations. You know what I'm saying? In addressing this issue, Collado expressed his belief that the Open Skies Agreement will lead to a noticeable reduction in airfare rates, drawing parallels to the positive impact observed in Latin America with the introduction of something called Arajet. You know what I'm saying? I got you. Collado remains optimistic that similar effects will be witnessed in the United States once the open skies policy is implemented. As an illustration, he cited instances where airfares to the Dominican Republic decrease, fostering the growth of tourism in the region. So hopefully this agreement that the U.S. is getting together with the Dominican Republic gets John Brito over there faster and more rapidly throughout the years, bring my crew out there. But I think it's an excellent thing, man. Dominican Republic is a beautiful country. People are having weddings there. People are going down on vacation. Why not bring that airfare down so we can get that fresh chicharron whenever we want it?
Yeah, I've seen a lot more friends planning weddings or going to be guests at weddings in the Dominican Republic recently.
Right on.
Yeah, it is a good idea just to reduce airfares. That's awesome. Give people more options to get out there to see what's there and to bring, however much money goes into it to help continue to build up.
You know what I'm saying?
If, both sides are agreeing that this is going to be helpful, I'm with it.
Yeah, because my mom,
Cheaper flight for me.
she was giving me the inside scoop of exactly that. Tourism has died a bit. I mean, Punta Cana is still popping. Puerto Plata is still popping. But if you go down to like Boca Chica and those tourist areas, Rio is suffering a lot because they don't really have the good attraction. And I think this money flow coming in from this partnership boosts up Boca Chica, gets some of those restaurants going, some of those local escorts, get a little bit more food on the table, get them pumped up for the tourists that come in.
Yeah, hope just make sure that money stays in the community, because that's the one thing I know as as a Puerto Rican, seeing what's happened with the libertarians out there and the crypto billionaires is annoying because they moved in there promising a lot for the people there, and they took all the profits for themselves. And
Exactly.
Didn't come through,
so fuck this up.
But you know, Johnny, one thing too with DR with the travel industry was they had a lot of bad publicity for a while.
They did. For people getting robbed and shit.
Well, not just the liquor. There, people were going to resorts and they were dying.
Exactly.
And it wasn't. It was probably a handful of incidents, but it became a big thing on the news.
Right.
And they were scaring people like, don't drink from the bar,
I remember.
the room bar or whatever. So when you get bad publicity like that, especially floating around,
Yeah,
that's going to take a lot of people. If you have the option, the Caribbean hop and island hop, DR is great. A lot of people love going there, but there's a lot of options.
Exactly. So hopefully this competition, because one person that will be buying a ticket is your boy right here.
There you go.
I'm definitely jumping in on some of these trips,
jhanboom back in DR.
All right, so I had one that I thought was kind of funny. We talk about like state politics and how they're a little crazier than even what you see on the national scale, and a lot of people don't actually experience that, or they don't pay attention to it as much, so they don't see it. So I found one of the state politicians doing one of the dumber sets of bills that I've ever seen somebody come out the gate with swinging. But all right, so here's the story. I chose Vice News' version of it because it's got more loaded language. There's an NBC more bland version if you want to, they're being too biased, whatever. I think this version's funnier. Republican wants schools to call animal control on furry students. There's no evidence of furry students trying to go to school in Oklahoma. Justin Humphrey wants to ban them anyway. By Tess Owen. Great job, Tess. But anyway, this is such a ridiculous thing. The whole furries in schools thing has always been crazy. I think it really hit its peak when Joe Rogan claimed that he knew parents of students who had kitty litter boxes in their room for the furries. Whoa. But here we have, and again, he acknowledged that he was just making that shit up. This is a completely made up phenomenon. But there are lawmakers in the country trying to pass bills to ban this from going on, even though it's not happening. A Republican lawmaker in Oklahoma is taking a stand against one of the most pressing issues facing America.
Oh my God.
Furries in schools. Jesus Students who purport to be an imaginary animal or animal species, or who engage in anthropomorphic behavior, commonly referred to as furries, will be barred from participating in school activities or curriculum under legislation introduced by House GOP Rep. Justin Humphrey.
Do they say what state this is?
Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
So Humphrey also suggests that schools call animal control services to remove the student should their parents be unavailable to collect them. The long shot legislation takes the recent furry panic to new heights. Now, they just mentioned here, in the last 2 years, right-wing lawmakers have been gripped by an urban myth claiming that schools were putting litter boxes in their classrooms to accommodate students who identify as cats or other creatures. NBC in 2022 identified at least 20 conservative candidates and elected officials who repeated the claim, along with conservative influencers like Joe Rogan, despite no evidence that any school anywhere had placed litter boxes in their classroom.
Okay. All right. I want people who heard this story just now to think about this.
Think about this shit.
In Oklahoma, like there is no fucking better problem that you need to focus on. That this person actually put forward legislation to ban furries from attending school and encourages the school to call fucking the animal
control
service to remove the kids from school. This is
these
where
imaginary
we are
kids.
at. There are no kids going to school as furries. Get over this bullshit. This is insane. This is more of the insanity and waste of time nonsense that people have to deal with. I'm sorry to the folks in Oklahoma who have to deal with this nonsense. I'm serious. Like, there's nothing better to focus on than you got time. You had time to put a law together.
Yeah, it's repeated over and over that there is no evidence of any of this. There's nothing. It's just a bunch of people doing gossip. Oh, I heard that in this classroom there's some kitty litter for the kids to poop in if they identify as a cat. Like, who believes that? Why would anybody fall for that shit?
Come on, man.
Problem. And now, enough people have fallen for it that representatives on a state level are like, we've got to pass a bill.
This is why people hate Congress.
Well, this is why Congress.
Fuck going on?
People hate all Congress.
But representatives really should be picking things that are a little more important to work on. I did want to point out, though, that this guy just really seems like a piece of work. There was another bill that he tried to pass this very recently. Proposed Oklahoma bill would single out Hispanic gang members as terrorists. State Rep Justin Humphrey has since apologized for zeroing in on Hispanic people and plans to change the language in the bill. He put forward a bill where only Spanish gang members, people who are with any conviction for gang activity, would be identified as terrorists and put on terror watch lists. But if you were any other race, and you get convicted for any gang related offense, you don't get deemed a terrorist because he didn't mention
crazy.
that.
Come on, man.
But at least he had time to address the important issue of whether or not the Spanish gangbangers should be classified only as terrorists.
So, yeah.
It's a little more important than the furry thing.
Well, I feel like he was very focused on the furry thing because he did apologize for this and say that, there are also Chinese nationals contributing to the fentanyl crisis. So he's going to change the language to undocumented persons.
And then shit on that.
This guy is fantastic.
Tweak the language a little, but this guy is like, this is a rep, and these
this guy
are
goes hard for the right wing, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Damn, I do not want to go to that district. I don't want to be around it. I'm sorry to judge the whole... I'm not judging the whole district. It's just that if that dude's repping it, it worries me, and it doesn't seem like my kind of place to be.
Obviously, people are voting for this guy, but who knows what kind of mailers he sends around?
That's true. Who knows how he's advertising this?
And again, this is Oklahoma. What's the district he's...
I don't know the district exactly, but he's a state rep in Oklahoma.
All right, you know what? That is just... I'm going to leave it right there because that's insane.
Can you dig it?
You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
All right, what's good, everyone? We're right back and talking about a little hip-hop stories, a little kerfuffle this week.
This made a little more noise. I mean, it started light and it's been rolling out a little bigger since.
A lot of people have given opinions on it. It's kind of the talk of the week. Anytime you bring up Drake, I guess that happens. Yasin Bey, a.k.a. Mos Def, sets internet ablaze after calling Drake pop artist. Drake responds. That's from Vibe. If you want to look up the story, I'll just summarize it. You can look up the quotes from these guys. You can see what they did. But essentially, Mos Def called Drake pop. He said the music he makes is pop. It doesn't have, or what do you call it? He said you could hear it in Target. It's like shopping music with an edge.
Yeah, he was being interviewed. They asked him about how he feels about Drake's music. Is it hip hop? And I thought it was him. I thought he was intentionally, kind of saying it the way he did. Mos is a smart guy. So, he didn't throw it right under the bus, but it was kind of mocking and in a joking way.
A little condescending.
It was condescending. It was like, yeah, it's pop. And then it went into I was shopping in Target and I heard Drake's song. It's like shopping music.
With an edge.
Shopping with an edge.
Edgy shopping or something like that, yeah.
But that, the way that came off, I guess, kind of rubbed Drake the wrong way. And took a lot of people jumped onto that.
Start some shit.
Yeah, so he posted, Drake in response posted, a little clip of Wu-Tang's Method Man saying hip hop is a culture, it's a way of life, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you walk, and kind of, talking about that. It's the breakdancing, rhymes, stage, show, DJ, mixing and scratching, the wordplay. And that's true. That is the hip hop that I grew up on. You went to these places where people were battling, there were b-boys, there was people rocking the stage. It was a really cool experience, but I also think I get what Mos Def was trying to say. And, Drake also posted a clip of Umi Says, which is one of Mos Def's biggest hits, shine a light for the world to see. And he put as a caption, what Umi say again? Let me shine my light, king. Let me shine my light, king. Don't change up now. And put laughing emojis. So, I think it was kind of trying to condescend back.
But, listen, to play devil's advocate, first of all, love Mos Def. You can't really get much more hip hop than Mos Def.
One of the greatest lyricists
and
of all
I
time
happen to grow up in that era,
right on,
where these guys were just killing it in the city. So it was great. But on behalf of like Drake's side of it, Drake's got a lot of tracks where he was spitting fire, especially in his early days, where he had a more hip hop edge, more of like it's just the rappers, more of a grimy rapper style.
Comeback season, he raps his ass off.
Yeah, he raps his ass off a little more, but not to take any away because of the guy's success. A lot of rappers wish that they could have the success that someone like Drake has, and the other thing about that is like, would you still feel the same way if you heard Dear Mama playing while you were shopping in Target?
Exactly.
Would you hear Dear Mama?
I don't know.
Target, though?
Would you hear it?
Mother's Day shopping.
They might slip in changes,
So, but
so here's the thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with being popular. I think there is a skill to being a hit maker. If everybody could make hits, then everybody would be Drake. But at the same time, I get what Mos Def is saying. I think, like, I played for you the first verse of a song called Rock and Roll by Mos Def, where he talks about, like, the lack of soul to certain rock acts that took the veneer of rock but didn't really carry the messaging behind the rock music when it originated. And I think that's kind of...
Oh, is that what you're saying Drake is?
Drake lacks authenticity at times. And I think, so, not to be... And I don't want to come across a hater. Listen, Drake is capable of being a very good rapper. I've seen him do battle dudes that are good rappers and win. He bodied me in that beef. He's gone head-to-head with dudes, including some rappers I like. But... at the same time, just because he's capable of doing that doesn't mean all of his content has been that. When he goes into hitmaker mode, it feels like, to me, trend hopping on what's the hottest thing right now. Bad Bunny's popping. I'll get a collab with him. Cool.
Yeah, okay.
Migos got a poppin' flow.
Bow.
I'm on the remix. And it's good on him to spot those things coming on the come up and put even bigger eyes on them.
I guess the question
Spotlight.
then...
But I don't know that he's ever had something that I think... The Drake sound, to me, when I think of a Drake sound, is just the pop side. It's what is the hit? What's going to sell the most? Not the ones where he's actually... So
then I guess the question...
being lyrical.
The question then is, can you be both?
Oh, well, if I can answer that one, so jhanboom, right? Retired rapper. When I the first song I did was called Jump Rope, right? Dropped Jump Rope, dropped the video for it. They thought it was over at that time. They said, hey, John, you just out here messing around. So I had to drop a whole album for them. Dropped the album. They still down in jhanboom. People like Mos Def would have heard my album and would have been like, hey, what the fuck is this bullshit? But the streets, the people liked it. They said it was pop. It was popular in the streets. So because of that, I had to drop more hits, a couple more hits. You know what I'm saying? Had to drop the Ratchet Shit remix. You know what I'm saying? So people would understand that I wasn't playing. Had to drop a couple for the ladies, a couple slow jams. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, is jhanboom Drake to Mos Def?
I don't know, but
if we're talking about being popular and being like hip hop to the core, Biggie was the biggest rapper while he was alive. you know, he was one of the biggest, and he was also, nobody will ever question his hip hop bona fides. But I also think, you know, times have changed a little bit. Rap is the most popular, or hip hop is the most popular.
You tell us.
So yeah, give us your take.
Can you remain super real hip hop and also be a pop artist?
And what do you think is the most popular album that is real hip hop?
Let us know.
Give us those.
We got to get out of here, but thank you for tuning in. Episode 97, and we are out.
The Fan's Perspective.
They know what time.
You're listening to TFP, The Fan's Perspective.